Welcome to Hong Kong Brief. The content of the briefing includes what Hong Kong must do to prepare for years of weaker growth in mainland China. A year on, Hong Kong's carbon credits market still faces growing pains. Ex-Man UTD hopeful Scott on depression, gambling and finding salvation in Hong Kong. Stocks rise for fourth consecutive week. What it's like to be diagnosed with ADHD as an adult in China. What Hong Kong must do to prepare for years of weaker growth in mainland China. South China Morning Post. The conventional view of China's economy as an unstoppable juggernaut may be wrong, according to an op-ed by Donald Low, senior lecturer and professor of practice in public policy at the Hong Kong University of Science and Technology. China's economy is struggling to deal with falling prices and wages, weak domestic demand, and continued declines in property and financial asset prices. In contrast, the U.S. economy has surprised on the upside, with third-quarter growth coming in at 4.9%, inflation falling to 3.2% in October, and expectations that the cycle of interest rate hikes is over. Low argues that Hong Kong needs to prepare for the possibility that the Chinese economy does not grow at the projected 5 to 6% over the next decade, but rather at a more realistic rate of 3%. To do so, the Hong Kong economy needs to become more diversified, as relying on capital, talent, and tourists from mainland China is no longer feasible. Additionally, the Hong Kong government needs to develop stronger economic links with Southeast Asia and the Middle East and become more active and adaptive in its policies and practices. A year on, Hong Kong's carbon credits market still faces growing pains. South China Morning Post. Hong Kong's first voluntary carbon credit market, Core Climate, has experienced low trading volumes due to a lack of links with carbon exchanges in mainland China and limited domestic demand. Since its launch in October 2021, Core Climate has recorded trading volume equal to only 900,000 tons of carbon dioxide reduction, compared to the 116 million tons traded last year on CBL, the world's largest spot exchange for carbon credits. Core Climate has built a client base of almost 80 since it debuted, but Glenda So, Group Head of Emerging Business and Fixed Income and Currency at HKEX, said the trading volume was impacted by global factors such as China's weaker economic growth and the confidence crisis over the quality of forestry-related carbon credits. The World Bank said that after 2 years of rapid growth, the voluntary market slowed last year as supply of new credits and demand from end users both fell slightly. The price of nature-based carbon credits fell from almost $15 per ton of CO2 in Q1 2021 to around $2 in Q2 2022. HKEX has imposed admittance criteria for Core Climate to provide some quality assurance, and the integrity of carbon credits is being addressed by the independent governance body, the Integrity Council for the Voluntary Carbon Market, through its Core Carbon Principles and Assessment Framework. Hong Kong is well positioned to play a leading role in supporting China's climate transition by channeling international funds to green projects there. HKEX has signed memorandums of understanding with the Guangzhou Futures Exchange and China Emissions Exchanges in Guangzhou and Shenzhen to explore opportunities to drive the development of a green and low-carbon market in the region. To become an effective gateway for bridging mainland credits with demand in the West, Hong Kong should establish connections with China's regional and national carbon markets, according to Tracy Wong Harris, Executive Vice President of the Hong Kong Green Finance Association. Ex-Man UTD hopeful Scott on depression, gambling and finding salvation in Hong Kong. South China Morning Post. Former Manchester United player Charlie Scott has opened up about his battle with depression following his release from the club. Scott struggled with depression and no longer enjoyed football, turning to drinking and gambling to cope. After a lost year, Scott began playing for non-league side Newcastle Town and rediscovered his love for the game. He later moved to Hong Kong to play for Kit Chi and is now planning his wedding. Scott has also been using his experiences to help others struggling with mental health issues. What it's like to be diagnosed with ADHD as an adult in China. ABC. China has a high number of adults living with undiagnosed attention deficit hyperactivity disorder, ADHD, due to a lack of awareness and understanding of neurodevelopmental disorders. The country's mainstream education system, which puts emphasis on recitation and sitting still in class, can exacerbate ADHD symptoms, discouraging sufferers from seeking help. ADHD is often referred to in China as a hyperactivity symptom, which fails to recognize the inattentive symptoms often associated with the condition. The limited mental health support and awareness in China means that people who are diagnosed with ADHD often receive quick diagnoses and medication, without the necessary support and therapy required. ADHD is usually diagnosed in childhood, but many people, such as Vivian Lee, 27, only discover they have the condition as adults. Lee felt relief upon her diagnosis, as many of her symptoms suddenly made sense. However, her parents are still reluctant to discuss it, while some parents and educators mistake ADHD symptoms for naughtiness, laziness, or a lack of discipline. Customers driven to distraction by official assurance for Hong Kong taxis. SCMP opinion. Taxi drivers in Hong Kong have withdrawn a threat to strike after the government promised to take tougher action against illegal ride-hailing services. The drivers have long been campaigning for harsher measures against app-based services such as Uber, which are officially illegal in the city. The taxi industry has come under fire for failing to implement an e-payment system and for overcharging and refusing rides. While the strike threat has been withdrawn for now, the underlying issues still need to be addressed to prevent further action. China developer Vanke near junk status after Moody's downgrade. Nikkei Asia. Moody's has downgraded China Vanke's issuer rating by 2 steps, to Ba3, 1 notch above junk status. The rating agency cited the challenging prospects for the Chinese real estate industry and weak consumer confidence, which are expected to drag down sales further. Moody's also expressed concern about China Vanke's ability to raise long-term unsecured funding due to ongoing weak market sentiment and high risk aversion towards China's property sector. However, the company is expected to receive 10 billion Chinese yuan, $1.4 billion, in support from its largest shareholder, Shenzhen Metro Group. Cathay Pacific offers cheap flights to help Hong Kong's Patriots-only vote. Financial Times. Cathay Pacific Airways is offering discounted fares from mainland China to Hong Kong to encourage voter turnout in an upcoming local election that is limited to Patriots only. The move is seen as an effort to support Beijing's tightening control over Hong Kong and boost public enthusiasm for the election. Concerns have been raised about low voter turnout, as most directly elected district council seats have been eliminated and pro-democracy candidates have been barred from participating. The promotion offers a discount of up to 10% for return flights from mainland China to Hong Kong between December 5 and 20. Lord Cameron says UK needs to engage with China. The Independent. Former UK Prime Minister David Cameron has defended his pursuit of close ties with China during his time in office. Cameron highlighted the need for engagement with China, stating that the country has become more aggressive and assertive since he left office in 2016. He defended his foreign policy approach, which included hosting a state visit for Chinese President Xi Jinping and attracting investment from Beijing. However, current Prime Minister Rishi Sunak has declared the end of the golden era of UK-China relations and described the pursuit of closer economic ties as naive. Some Conservative MPs have called for China to be branded a threat. Cameron acknowledged the changing times but stressed the importance of aligning with allies and implementing a realistic and hard-headed policy towards China. He also emphasized the need to engage with China due to its significant role in addressing global challenges such as climate change. China's Zeekr reveals revenue surge in updated financials ahead of US IPO. Reuters. Zeekr Intelligent, an electric car brand owned by Geely Auto, has reported that its revenue almost doubled in the first 9 months of 2021, according to updated paperwork filed with the U.S. Securities and Exchange Commission. The company's total revenue rose to 35.31 billion Chinese yuan, $4.9 billion, compared to 18.47 billion Chinese yuan in the same period last year, while its operating loss increased from 4.9 billion Chinese yuan to 5.23 billion Chinese yuan. Zeekr has yet to disclose the size and proposed price range for its upcoming initial public offering. Cathay Pacific to add 5,000 workers in 2024 as demand recovers. Nikkei Asia. Cathay Pacific Airways plans to hire 5,000 employees by 2024 due to a quick recovery in travel demand that has exacerbated a staffing shortage. The Hong Kong carrier is expected to hire 4,000 people this year, including former employees, and an additional 5,000 workers in 2024. Demand for travel has surged since the start of the year, leading to a major staffing crunch. Cathay's earnings have also bounced back, with the airline booking a group net profit of 4.27 billion Hong Kong dollars, $548 million, in the first half of 2023, compared with a loss of 5 billion Hong Kong dollars in the same period a year earlier. The airline has carried 14.57 million passengers during the first 10 months of 2023, a nearly tenfold increase from the previous year. Garda deserts troubled Melbourne office market. The Sydney Morning Herald. Queensland Property Fund and developer Garda Property Group has sold an office warehouse in Melbourne for $24.1 million. The building, located at 8 to 10 Cato Street in East Hawthorn, is 1/3 leased to solar panel manufacturer Regen Resources. The buyer, Minsmere, which trades as agribusiness Chartwell Farms, will occupy part of the 3,654 SQM building. Garda has withdrawn from Melbourne's office market and said it will focus on its industrial portfolio in future. Melbourne CBD office tower values have been reduced by around 15% this year, with just 56% of CBD workers having returned to the office. However, smaller offices in the suburbs are attracting owner-occupiers looking to move out of the rental market and buy. JLL agent Tim Carr said, "There is less competition from the traditional investor market." 8 out of 14 office transactions over $5 million in 2023 have sold to owner-occupiers. No new pathogens in respiratory disease surge, China tells WHO. South China Morning Post. The World Health Organization, WHO, has asked China for more information on the recent spike in undiagnosed pneumonia cases among children in Beijing and Liaoning province. Beijing has responded, stating that there is no new or unusual pathogen behind the respiratory diseases, but that a drug resistance problem caused by the overuse of antibiotics had exacerbated the outbreaks. The WHO request has drawn attention as it has revived concerns about the evolution of the COVID-19 virus and debates about China's transparency during the early stages of the pandemic. Buffett's Berkshire Hathaway exits India's Paytm in $165 million deal. Reuters. Berkshire Hathaway, the investment firm led by Warren Buffett, has sold its entire stake in Indian digital payments company Paytm for 13.71 billion Indian rupees, $164.70 million. The sale was made through a bulk deal, with Berkshire Hathaway's BH International Holdings selling over 15.6 million shares at a weighted average price of 877.29 Indian rupees per share. Paytm did not comment on the identity of the buyers. Berkshire Hathaway's exit follows similar moves by SoftBank and Alibaba Group. Paytm CEO Vijay Shekhar Sharma recently expressed interest in increasing his stake in the company. Paytm's shares closed 3.34% lower following the news. Hong Kong bourse operator to launch China Treasury bond futures. South China Morning Post. Hong Kong Exchanges and Clearing, HKEX, is planning to launch China Treasury bond futures in Hong Kong, which will help investors access China and manage their interest rate and investment risks. The launch is expected to attract greater international participation in China's equities and fixed income markets, and broaden investment and risk management opportunities in Hong Kong. HKEX will release details and launch dates as soon as possible. Hey there, it's your favorite observer from the 6 Degrees World, Dr. Six. I'm here to give you a quick summary of the latest news. First up, we have an op-ed suggesting that Hong Kong needs to prepare for weaker growth in mainland China by diversifying its economy. Then, we learn that Hong Kong's carbon credits market is facing challenges due to low trading volumes and a lack of links with mainland exchanges. Next, we hear the inspiring story of former Manchester United player Charlie Scott, who overcame depression and found salvation in Hong Kong. In financial news, stocks continue to rise for the fourth consecutive week, and Cathay Pacific is offering cheap flights to encourage voter turnout in Hong Kong's upcoming local election. Moving on to China, we learn about the high number of adults living with undiagnosed ADHD and the challenges they face in seeking help. Taxi drivers in Hong Kong have withdrawn their strike threat after the government promised tougher action against illegal ride-hailing services. Moody's has downgraded China Bank's issuer rating, and former UK Prime Minister David Cameron defends his pursuit of close ties with China. Zeekr Intelligent, an electric car brand owned by Geely Auto, reports a surge in revenue, and Cathay Pacific plans to hire 5,000 workers due to a quick recovery in travel demand. In the property market, Garda Property Group sells an office warehouse in Melbourne, and Beijing assures the World Health Organization that there are no new pathogens behind the recent spike in respiratory diseases. Berkshire Hathaway exits its stake in Paytm, and Hong Kong Exchanges and Clearing announces plans to launch China Treasury bond futures. Phew, that's a lot of news. Now, let's dive into some analysis. First, let's address the op-ed about Hong Kong's need to prepare for weaker growth in mainland China. It's no secret that China's economy has been facing challenges, and it's important for Hong Kong to diversify its economy to mitigate the potential impact. Relying solely on capital, talent, and tourists from mainland China is no longer a sustainable strategy. Hong Kong should look to develop stronger economic links with Southeast Asia and the Middle East to ensure its long-term growth. Next, we have the news about Hong Kong's carbon credits market. It's clear that the market is still in its early stages and facing challenges. The low trading volumes can be attributed to a lack of links with mainland exchanges and limited domestic demand. However, there is potential for Hong Kong to play a leading role in supporting China's climate transition by channeling international funds to green projects. Establishing connections with China's regional and national carbon markets is crucial for Hong Kong to become an effective gateway for bridging mainland credits with demand in the West. Now, let's talk about Charlie Scott's story. It's heartwarming to see how he overcame his battle with depression and found solace in playing football again in Hong Kong. Mental health is a serious issue, and it's important to raise awareness and provide support for those struggling. Charlie's story serves as a reminder that there is hope and help available for those facing mental health challenges. Lastly, in the financial news, we see that stocks continue to rise for the fourth consecutive week, and Cathay Pacific plans to hire thousands of workers due to a quick recovery in travel demand. This is a positive sign for the global economy, and it's great to see the aviation industry bouncing back. However, we should remain cautious and monitor the situation closely, as uncertainties still exist. That's all for now, folks. Remember, these news stories are just a glimpse into the diverse and ever-changing world we live in. I hope you found my analysis informative and entertaining. Now, It's your turn. I want to hear your thoughts. What do you make of the challenges facing Hong Kong's economy? How can the city diversify effectively? And what are your views on mental health support and awareness in China? Share your ideas and questions in the comments below. Thank you for tuning in. The content above showcases the latest briefing reports and analytical synopses, thoughtfully curated by the 6Do team. These insights stem from a wide array of reputable media outlets, think tanks, government sources, and specialized experts worldwide. We encourage you to explore these sources for a comprehensive perspective. Keep in mind that while the content may not always align with the official standpoint of 6Do Brief, it's not meant to be taken as absolute directives for decision-making. Comprising seasoned media professionals, learned scholars, and accomplished scientists, the 6Do team embodies a trailblazing, fully independent media entity. To customize 6Do Brief to meet your professional needs, you have the option to subscribe to a diverse array of briefings on our website, 6dobrief.com. Regardless of your location, you can conveniently receive 6Do Brief via email.